channel Kuliah Sosiologi. Jangan lupa like, comment, and subscribe-nya ya.
In Germany, and most recently, The Modern Social Conflict, an essay on the politics of liberty. As an academic administrator, he served from 1974 to 1984 as director of the London School of Economics. As a prominent European political figure, he was a member of the German Parliament, deputy foreign minister, and EEC commissioner. On the Berkeley campus this semester, he is the 1989 Sanford S. Elberg Lecturer in International Studies. So Ralph, welcome to Berkeley. I thought we would walk through your distinguished career by starting in the beginning, actually. And you were, where and when were you born?
I was born in 1929 in Hamburg, in Germany.
And that was the very turbulent period, obviously, in Germany.
That was a particularly turbulent period in our family, since my father was a social democratic politician. At the time, a member of the Hamburg Diet, a little later a member of the German Parliament, the Reichstag, and thus among those who were in the middle of things, really, between the Nazis and the communists pre-1933, and then, of course, immediately or very soon arrested and without a job, and we moved to Berlin, yes.
And he was actually arrested twice. I mean, was he sent to a concentration?
He was arrested, first of all, when most Social Democratic MPs were arrested in the summer of 1933, came out again around Christmas time that year. Then he was later in the resistance, and after the 20th of July 44, he was arrested, tried, and sentenced. He was fortunate, sentenced to 7 years prison, of which he went to prison, and then after the war was released by the Russians.
And what do you remember most about growing up? The discussion of politics around the dinner table, or worrying about the police?
It's not as simple as that. It's what I remember most is how public life, political life, impinged on one's private existence. I mean, my parents tried to make it possible for me to grow up relatively undisturbed. Didn't work very well, and certainly by the age of 11, I realized that there was a sort of difference between the family view and the prevailing view, and a dangerous difference at that. And later on, I myself got involved in the opposition to the Nazi regime.
And you were, in fact, arrested as
I was, in fact, arrested. We had spread truthful information in schools, in our own school and beyond, and had written rather incautious letters to each other, a friend of mine and myself.
This is my message for today. The emotional relationship between the persons involved determines the trajectory of violent situations. I'll draw on evidence from several kinds of violence: quarrels and fights among individuals in small groups, violent crimes such as holdups and rapes, violence in demonstrations and riots, and military combat or other organized violence. Most theories about violence are misleading. If we actually look at situations where violence is threatened, the striking fact is most of the time violence does not come off. It aborts or becomes a standoff. When violence does manage to break through, it is typically incompetent, and the fighters do relatively little damage to each other. This is not our predominant image of violence. We think that violence is a raging rampage in which angry, embittered, or honor-prone persons give way to pent-up urges and commit atrocious acts of beating, shooting, exploding, or torturing. Not that such things don't happen, but our biggest problem with understanding violent causality is, for a long time, almost everything we knew about it came from sampling on the dependent variable. Violence figures prominently in the headlines in the news media, chiefly when it is especially blatant and atrocious. The fact that a fight does not come off, or that it is no more than a scuffle, is never newsworthy. The same problem exists with most crime statistics, since they report the crimes that happen, not those that could have happened.
Let's
but
just
didn't.
start with this. Why do we celebrate holidays to begin with?
Well, we use them for actually very, very different purposes. We use them to mark seasons. Some of them mark spring, the turning of the fall into winter and such. Some are opportunities for us to reconfirm our commitment to values, to our religious values. There is what we have the 4th of July, our national values. We have occasions in which they are really basically what I call tension relief. Have festivals, New Year's Eve, where we kind of let go and take a vacation from our duties. So the holidays are used for a very large variety of purposes. All of them is to take a break from our routine of our work week and day.
And the reasons for celebration, have they evolved over the years?
No, actually not. It's interesting, and even not across cultures. Well, the balance has immensely changed. There are some periods in which letting go, tension relief, has become much more important, and rededication to values has declined because we have become less religious, more materialistic, more hedonistic, and in other eras we have, doing war and such, we become much more patriotic and nationalistic. These days move up. So the balance between the various holidays changes from culture to culture, from year to year, but the underlying sociology doesn't change. We all have a need to be committed to some things which guide us, our moral principles, our values. We all need to be committed to larger entities, to ourselves, the family, the extended family, the community, and beyond that. And we all need moments where we can kind of relax and recharge our batteries.
And let me follow up on that. Well, what is it about the holiday traditions that we find particularly meaningful?
Well, really here we go